I love fighting games, and I also love speedrunning. Speedrunning is the act of attempting to accomplish a goal in the fastest time possible. This can be simply completing a game, finishing a certain segment, or even getting naked. The most common games people speedrun are platformers and Minecraft, but I wanted to find out, can you speedrun a fighting game? Over the last few years, fighting games have become more and more online PvP oriented. Part of this is the studios behind the major fighting game releases focusing on making the genre more of an esport. The biggest games of the genre have gotten better netcode for a smoother online experience, more frequent patches for balancing, and larger prize pools for tournaments. One of the largest fighting game events, Capcom Cup, had a $2 million prize pool. So the modern day fighting game experience for a lot of players like myself is more akin to playing online games such as Overwatch or Rocket League. But although there was a brief time where fighting games were abandoning single-player content, the latest entries of all the major fighting games have some of the most offline content in the series' history. For example, Street Fighter 6 features the most iconic single-player fighting game mode, Arcade Mode. As the name suggests, Arcade Mode plays out like an arcade machine when you aren't playing with someone on the other side. You fight a number of AI opponents in a row as any character of your choice. As it turns out, a lot of people speedrun arcade modes in different fighting games. So with a PlayStation controller in one hand, a can of Monster in the other, and a copy of Game Shark in the other, I began my journey to get a fighting game world record. Before we get into the video, I'd really appreciate it if you consider subscribing to the channel. I do combo guides, character and costume showcases, and trivia videos for pretty much every single fighting game series, and there is a ton of new fighting game content coming out soon, so make sure you subscribe to the channel to not miss out on any of it. I tried speedrunning the arcade modes of 3 different fighting games, starting off with the most iconic fighting game of all time, Street Fighter. Usually in Street Fighter 6, I play Cammy, who is widely agreed upon to be a strong character competitively. But what's interesting is that none of the qualities that make her strong help at all when speedrunning. Cammy's best qualities are her fast movement speed, good frame data, and corner carry. Her fast movement speed helps you outmaneuver the opponent and dominate space, and also helps with her grab game as you can quickly approach after a throw and threaten another. For speedrunning, movement speed doesn't matter as we can't waste time moving around too much. Her good frame data lets you apply pressure that not many characters can match, and your opponent is often forced to block for an extended amount of time before it's their turn again. Frame data is mostly irrelevant when speedrunning though, as we aren't planning on the opponent blocking our attacks. Lastly, Cammy's specials and combos naturally carry the opponent to the corner where their defensive options are limited as they can't move backwards away from you. But again, a tool that forces the opponent into a defensive position is useless when speedrunning as the AI is going to be on such a low level that they're not going to be blocking our attacks. Hopefully. So to get the world record time, I'm going to have to step outside my comfort zone and play a different character. The number one character by far for speedrunning according to the current leaderboard is Marissa. Marissa is the best character for one simple reason. She hits like an absolute truck without the need for long combos. A character who does a lot of damage with longer combos like Aki would only slow us down. The Marissa strategy looks like this. As you can see, you get a huge amount of damage done in a very small amount of time. But I know that I can't beat the world record by just copying the current holder. Watching their footage, they've nailed the strategy so perfectly that the best I could hope for would be to get the same time. So I came up with my own plan. If I ask you to think of a Street Fighter character that does huge damage without combos, I'm sure one instantly comes to mind. Zangief, Street Fighter's resident grappler. His game plan revolves around his signature move, the spinning pile driver. By only using Zangief's SPD, I can outspeed Marissa's combos while doing the same amount of damage. So I put my theory to the test and started my first run. Yeah, the plan had some issues. The first major issue is the fact that I don't play Zangief. I'm not used to the input you have to do for Zangief's SPD. To do the spinning pile driver, you have to input right, down, left, and up in any order. For players like me who don't play Zangief, this input is pretty hard to do consistently. The second problem that occurred even when I got the input right was that the AI was brutal. Watching the world record made me think the CPU would basically be a training dummy. But even the easiest AI still escapes my grabs, whether by jumping, backdashing, or even attacking me. I realized this was going to be a game of RNG, meaning for me to get the world record, I need to get lucky. I need the AI to gracefully accept the pile driver every single time. Just getting past the first two opponents with a perfect record of SPDs executed and landed took me over an hour. But just when I started getting the hang of the strategy, the biggest roadblock so far appeared. Zangief's natural predator. A f***ing truck. This truck is the Dark Souls of Street Fighter minigames. To finish this minigame and move on with the run, you have to attack and destroy the truck. The problem is that you cannot grab the truck. Zangief's strongest move is rendered useless against this metal Goliath. You can actually choose to not fight the truck in your arcade run, but the time it takes for Marissa to destroy the truck is faster than a round of Zangief fighting a CPU. Regardless of the truck, the AI increases in strength after every round, and I just could not grab the high level opponents. So I gave up. And by giving up, I mean I switched to Marissa. I know I said earlier there was no way I could beat the world record by just copying their strategy, but with some miracle like a faster loading time, I thought it might just be possible. So I started a new run and tried out the Marissa loop I showed earlier, though I was quickly met with a harsh reality. See, the Marissa strategy I showed off earlier isn't actually 3 combos, but 4. This means you can escape being hit by either blocking or attacking. And I knew this, but thought nothing of it, as in the world record video, the AI still got hit every time. I thought that I must have the difficulty set wrong, as I expected easiest to mean literally Weenie Hut Jr. and to take the hit every time. Turns out, just like with my Zangief runs, this was another game of luck. After only a few runs, I did get lucky enough with the first 2 opponents and moved on to my arch nemesis Truck-kun at a good pace. But once again, the truck ran over my hopes and my dreams. For some reason, whenever I fight the truck, my game gets this weird input lag and misses my button presses if I do multiple in a row. I'm not sure if this is just because of my laptop or if other people experience this, but it meant that I had to deviate from the number 1 run. I decided I would forego the minigame and instead try beating 5 opponents in a row. After multiple hours, I finally got lucky. I had finished Street Fighter 6's arcade mode in 2 minutes and 10 seconds. The world record time, 2 minutes and 3 seconds. Second place, 2 minutes and 8 seconds. So I ended up placing 3rd, securing me the bronze trophy on the leaderboard. I was pretty comfortably third, as the next best run is 2 minutes and 15 seconds, so it wasn't super tight. So while I didn't get the world record, I at least got a trophy with my first ever run submitted to the website. I don't expect to keep this trophy for very long, however, as someone watching right now is probably gonna try and beat my time. So with my run of 2 minutes and 10 seconds, I was officially done with speedrunning Street Fighter. For now at least. But as I mentioned earlier in the video, I speedran more than just Street Fighter 6. The next fighting game is Grand Blue Fantasy vs Rising. I'm a huge fan of this game and honestly think it's the best fighting game for beginners who want to get into the genre. There is a free-to-play version, the specials only require one button, and the combos are streamlined due to the game's auto-combo system. Not only did I want to speedrun my current favourite fighting game, but I wanted to try to get the world record as my main character this time, Anila. Anila is the game's balanced character who is slightly different to the traditional balanced role that the protagonist normally fills. For example, the main character of this game is Gran, who is the Ryu of the game. He has a fireball, invincible uppercut to escape pressure, and an advancing kick to control space. Anila, on the other hand, has a slower, more risky fireball, an invincible uppercut with less range, and an advancing special that can turn into a projectile. To make up for her drawbacks, her normal attacks have much longer range, though they don't do as much damage. For some reason, I felt confident enough to obtain the world record without having to figure out the most optimal character to play. My strategy going into the run relied entirely on one move, Dash Light Attack. Even in competitive Grand Blue Fantasy versus, Dash Light Attack is every character's strongest attack. This is because, just like Cammy's Crouch Heavy Punch, you are plus on block, letting you continue the pressure if they block, or get a full combo if they get hit. The AI in Grand Blue isn't very smart about frame data, so like against most people below S rank, Dash Light works wonders. So with the power of Anila and her sheep, I started my first run.
Believe in victory. Battle 1. Engage!
And yeah, the AI is kinda different. I kept running into this problem run after run. When the computer hits you in this game, they usually convert into a combo. The damage they do is fine, and I was never in danger of actually getting knocked out, but these combos would eat up a lot of time. I had to always be applying pressure, usually with Anila's Dash Light Attack. Though while I'd have the enemy pinned, to do a lot of damage in Grand Blue, you need to be doing combos. And the combos I was doing as Anila definitely did not feel very time efficient. But eventually, I had my best run where I never got stuck in a combo for too long at any stage. Though the final and hardest part of the run would be facing Lucilius. Lucilius is the secret boss of the game, and to fight him you have to end every prior match with a super. I had to make sure to do this requirement throughout the run and face Lucilius at the end, as that leaderboard with only one entry was for beating the secret boss. Lucilius is actually pretty tough, so if I got hit a few times, I wasn't gonna end the run like I normally would, as long as I could beat him without losing, this would be the run I submit. After some close calls and a terrible decision to use Anila's Super Skybound art, which has an extremely long cinematic animation, I beat the boss, finishing the run in 6 minutes and 28 seconds. Now, would this be the #1 time for the secret ending arcade mode? Yeah, nah. The world record is more than 20 seconds faster than my time. When I saw there was only one time on the leaderboard, I assumed this would be an easy first place. But turns out the one and only runner of this category actually netted themselves a very nice time. I could just not see myself shaving over 20 seconds off my run. Switching characters to someone who does more damage could work, but I only know the movesets of a select few. So now with a bronze and silver trophy, I journeyed to find a new game where I'd finally claim my world record. I searched through a lot of the mainline fighting games to see if there were any that weren't as competitive, but to my surprise, Tekken, Mortal Kombat, Soul Calibur, and many more had over a dozen runs on their leaderboards. Now I could just find an obscure fighting game that no one is speedrunning. Actually, let's just do that. Fuck it. Blade Strangers. Blade Strangers is a 2018 fighting game that features a cast of characters from a number of different indie titles. You can play as Shovel Knight and Isaac, who are both from some of my favourite games of all time. But most importantly, almost no one speedruns this game's arcade mode. The runs are separated by character, and some don't even have a single run submitted. To not completely cheese the aim of this video, I chose the poster girl of the game, Solange, who did have a run I had to beat if I wanted to get the world record. The game's mechanics are very simple, so I only spent about 15 minutes in training mode before I was confident enough to start my first run. But I quickly found out it was actually faster to just spam auto combos into this special move. Every other special move Solange has knocks down the opponent, which wastes time as you can't actually hit them until they get back up. So after a couple of experimental runs, I committed to the spam. I was a little nervous going into the final boss, as it is a fighting game staple to make the arcade boss as bullshit as possible, but thankfully this was not the case, and I defeated Lena, finishing the run in just over 3 minutes and 35 seconds. Was this finally the run to net me the gold trophy and a world record? Yes, by just under a minute. With a bronze, silver, and gold trophy, I was finally more than happy to go home and be a family man. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe for more fighting game content.